John Calvin said that the doctrine of justification is the main hinge on which religion turns. Martin Luther said when the article of justification has fallen, everything has fallen. He also preached, "It alone begets, nourishes, builds, preserves, and defends the Church of God, and without the Church of God cannot exist for 1 hour." It is important for you as a Christian to understand the doctrine of justification. That's why I wrote this book for ordinary Christians called The Main Hinge, The Doctrine of Justification by Faith Alone. Today, the doctrine of justification is under attack from converts to Roman Catholicism, from supporters of the new perspective on Paul, to supporters of what is called federal vision in Reformed and Presbyterian circles. In this book, I go through what Luther's doctrine of justification was, and then I go through the scriptures and look at key texts and what they teach on this subject. For example, chapter 2 is Habakkuk on justification. In chapter 3, I look at sola fide. In chapter 4, I talk about how we should cherish a practical doctrine. In chapter 5, I talk about covenant justification. In other words, you need to understand the doctrine of justification in terms of the covenant of grace. In chapter 6, I talk about how Abraham was justified by faith alone. And then the final chapter is entitled Jesus on Justification. So along the way, I look at passages like James, who seems to teach justification by works at first glance, and I examine what James is actually teaching and how his teaching actually is in line with the Apostle Paul's teaching. So enjoy this book and learn what Paul, the Old Testament, James, and Jesus really teach about justification.